Hello and welcome to another session of Groundbreakers Live. I'm your host, Javed Mohammed, and I'm very honored to have with us Frank Nimphius, who is a Master Principal Product Manager. Frank, welcome.
Thank you.
We
So
were just
glad you
talking a
have
little,
me.
oh, absolutely. And we were just talking a little bit off camera. It's always great talking to Frank, not only because he does all this wonderful content from 2-minute tech tips to actually we used to meet at real
Mm.
events. But
Yes,
this
long
this
time ago.
absolutely. So you are part of the APAC Groundbreakers 2020 virtual tour, and you're going
hmm
to be giving a talk there about the Oracle Digital Assistant overview. So give us the
The short,
overview.
the short view to the
Yes.
overview.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a presentation I think that we should do a lot more. So oftentimes we're just so focused on in detail and in-depth content that we're creating, which we still do and enjoy. But I think this overview is just important, not only for us to remind ourselves what we have as a feature set in our product, but also that we remind ourselves that not everyone is an expert yet in chatbots, and some are just starting out exploring what chatbots are. Some even might have heard about chatbots. Some might live in the belief that chatbots are all about artificial intelligence and machine learning and may
Mhm.
require a degree in data science. And this talk really is about showing people how to build a chatbot. Of course, I will show 2 chatbots that we developed just to set the bar. And then I would just talk about the features that we have. I remember when we met in Berlin, I think, I had a presentation called Artificial Intelligence Doesn't Make the Chatbot, because there are so many features around that a chatbot needs to support these days.
Mhm.
And I'm
So
covering all of these, so
wow. Okay. So one thing I just want to kind of highlight is that, and I'm glad you kind of stepping back and doing this overview. I think that even for those people who may not be that intimately familiar with chatbots, I think whether they realize it or not, I mean, I think anytime we call these days, you call customer service for a
mm,
credit card or your phone bill or whatever, in many but not all cases, people are interacting with some part of a digital assistant or chatbot. Is that correct?
yeah, well, actually, we try to do a better job than this press 7, press 3, press
Uh-huh.
2. So
Uh-huh.
we try not to be very robotic, though we are aware that a bot, beside of that, it needs to have a personality, that
Mhm.
it should admit happily that it's a bot, and it should also admit that it cannot do everything. But, as you said, like pre-filtering things, maybe just handling the common load of frequently asked questions, or pre-qualifying the request the customer has, and then hand over to an agent, a human agent, that maybe be help for service agencies as well. Um, but we can do a lot more there. So if you think about, if you run a tournament like tennis or something, and you want to get people updated on what the current standings are, this is all what a chatbot could do easily, and it's very entertaining, by the way.
Uh-huh. That's interesting you mentioned that because I think just the French Open just finished maybe a couple of weeks back. So
Yeah, yeah, that's totally. But they didn't have a bot, as far as I know.
okay, all
I
right.
know that the Madrid Open had,
Uh-huh. All right.
yeah, there are so many use cases for a bot if you think about it.
Uh-huh.
And there are the typical use cases that customers have. Like the
Uh-huh.
first one is, of course, frequently asked questions, as I mentioned. And the second then is to just make search easier on the website. So they put the bot on the website. And then instead of the user browsing menus and dialogues, they would just give them the opportunity to ask a specific question. Then the bot takes over.
Okay. So by the way, again, just a very kind of a generic question. Um, Digital assistants and chatbots the same, or if not, what's the difference?
They are the same, you can say. So digital assistant is like a concierge bot. So we are creating individual bots, which we call skills. Like
Mhm.
Alexa has skills, but Alexa kind of just dispatches between the skill, where we dispatch between our
Mhm.
individual chatbots.
Mhm.
And there is some intelligence in the concierge bot as well. So this is why we call it digital assistant, because it also uses a machine learning model to understand, based on the user message, what is the best qualifying skill that you want to navigate to. And then as in human conversation, and that would happen even during this interview, where we will switch context in between, right? So we're in the middle of the conversation, then you get a great idea for another question, and you just ask the question and I interrupt with what I'm doing and what I'm saying and just answer your question. This is what digital assistant can do as well. So we call this non sequitur conversations, where the user might be in the middle of ordering a new product, check if there is enough money on the gift voucher that they had bought.
Okay, so give us a sense of, so like, what is Oracle's offering in this space? So
Oracle Digital Assistant is a platform. It's a platform in the cloud, and we're providing all of the feature I mentioned that go beyond of machine learning and artificial intelligence. Of course, we do machine learning, and we help people to train the bot so that it understands human conversations and understand what the human wants. But we also give you features around it, like security features. We give you a dialogue flow. We give you components that make the bot responses. We give you channels that make it easy for your bot to run on several messengers, not just like the web. So we have channels for Facebook. We have channels for MS Teams, for Slack, and so on. So we can run on SMS if you want. So it's this old mantra of build once, run anywhere that we are supporting with a platform. And customers, when they are signing up for the cloud, they can build as many chatbots as they want. So they can expose individual skills as a chatbot, or just wrap them in this concierge bot, which we call digital assistant, as I mentioned. We also have multi-language support, which means that you build your bot in English, which is our kind of a preferred language right now, but that's going to change very soon, where we then use or we support other base languages as well. And you just build it, and then you say, for this type of users, I need to have the bot also being able to run in German, and then you do that.
Is it hard to actually going to other languages? I'm just kind of curious. I mean, obviously English is widely spoken, but there are so many languages actually out.
Yeah, so actually right now, state of the art is that we use translation services. So we're using a translation service from Microsoft or Google to do on-the-fly translations. So whatever the user language is, it gets detected, and then we translate the user sense in English. So we have the utterances and the intents trained in English, and so we get a really good outcome of this for a lot of languages that people speak. And now we do the next step, which is trying to support languages beyond of translation services, where we just live out of translations being handled by the NLP model directly, which we're starting with the next version of Oracle Digital Assistant, which is 2010. So this is where we introduce it. And then customers, so we have several iterations in which we launch language support, but one of the first languages beside of English, of course, will be German. So I would be able to write a German bot without even using any translation service.
So does that mean that the next interview might not be with you, it'll be with a chatbot?
Well, maybe. Who knows if I'm already a chatbot, you know? Just my avatar, and then you're talking to a chatbot. You only know when I start erroring.
So on that subject, so what I mean, just kind of stepping away from product and think, what does the future look like with chatbots and digital assistants 2 years, 5 years out?
Yeah, I think the future will look like what everyone is thinking and hoping it would, that you don't have to type messages in, that you would just talk to the thing. And we do have speech support in Oracle Digital Assistant. We do this through our web SDK, the iOS SDK, and Android SDK. But I think it will be very common that while people work with a web application, that they will just talk to the chatbot, and the chatbot will read all of the answers to them. And we are also able today to set a specific tone and voice if you want. So if you want to talk to a lady, then you set it to the lady. And if you want to talk to the male, then you set it to a male voice. So that is definitely where it's going. Beside of that, we're going for a very intelligent model where there's an internal saying, which is like NLP in every turn, where you try to do a conversation with a chatbot or build chatbots that form a conversation that is so natural and human-like that it really feels like you and I talking, you know.
Great.
And that's definitely where it's going. So, of course, yes, you could have avatars then speaking for you, but I think that what I would expect the most common use is where you really use it then as a digital assistant, which is you talk to it, you ask it questions, you ask it to file an expense report, and it will just do this in the back while you're working. You're doing your emails and you're talking. Man, that gets you very productive. You're
Yeah,
doing your expenses while you do your emails.
wonderful. So it sounds like a really exciting presentation. I mean, encourage all the viewers out there to check out Frank's talk.
Yeah.
So Frank, one question I'd like to ask, even though this is a virtual conversation, but this is part of the APAC Groundbreakers tour.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of curious. I forget, which city are you based in?
I'm based, well, working from home now, but I'm
Yeah,
based in Düsseldorf.
in Düsseldorf. So if someone was to be visiting Düsseldorf, like what's like, I'm sure there are many things to do, many
Mm.
foods to try, but if there's one experience you would recommend someone to do if they visit Düsseldorf, what would it be?
Yeah, that's a very easy one. So you want to go to Old Town in Düsseldorf.
Okay.
So it has the reputation to be the longest pub in the world because they do have a street where there's one pub next to the other, and that is what it's famous for. And the second thing it is really famous for is for its breweries. A lot of breweries. So we call the beer old beer. It doesn't mean it's old. It's just the name of the beer.
Uh-huh.
And that's definitely what you want to do. So you want to go to the Rhine River and then you walk up the old town, and I think it's probably very dark until you go back to your hotel.
Frank, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks for having me.